Episode 9 starts off with Roxanne waking up Michio. Michio says that he could spend all day in bed with Roxanne from morning until night. It's not like he's not attracted to a degenerate lifestyle, but if he wants to keep living like this, he tells Roxanne that he wishes he could continue, but they should head to the Kudatar Labyrinth. They're walking around the labyrinth, and Michio comments on how crowded it is. Roxanne tells him that tends to happen, especially here on the first floor. Since everyone has to pay to enter, a lot of people push themselves to stay here as long as possible. And since this labyrinth has been around for a long time, it's apparently quite famous and large. While waiting, they're in the boss waiting room. Michio says if this labyrinth has attracted this many people, it wouldn't surprise him if someone's beaten it already. Roxanne tells him that nobody knows how high it goes, or what the boss of the top floor is, because nobody's beaten it. She believes the highest floor ever reached was the 91st, by the first Emperor's party. Michio looks at the line and sees that it continues to get longer. They enter the boss room, and Michio says that the line moves pretty quickly despite how many people there are. Roxanne doubts that the first boss is very strong. After all, it's a kobold. The boss spawns, and Michio says that he looks pretty strong. Roxanne attacks it, then we get an intense swing by the kobold, but Roxanne just moves her foot out of the way because it's super slow. Michio sighs and walks up to the kobold and half-heartedly attacks it and kills it. On the second floor, Roxanne sniffs and says that no one is around, so he should be safe to use magic. Michio asks if there really are that few people here. She says yeah. About half the second floor seems to be kobold. Michio decides to call it a day because he's feeling kind of disappointed. They warp back to their house when Roxanne remembers something. Michio asks what's up. She says nothing. Go ahead and rest. He asks, what about you? She says that she's going to go get some seeds. Michio says the herb seeds the district manager is giving them, I'll go with you, and suggests that they do some gardening this afternoon, but first, let's eat. They enter the hardware store. The lady welcomes them and says, you're here for the herb seeds, right? I'll bring them to you now. Michio walks over to the hose and says, we'll need one of these, right? Roxanne tells him it's just a yard. They can find some wooden planks and use those to dig it up. Michio tells her there's no reason to do that, but Roxanne says she feels like hose would be a waste of money. The lady brings them their seeds and says she'll explain what they are if one of them is free. As Roxanne is listening, Michio thinks to himself that he can't let Roxanne dig with her hands, so he buys a couple hoes. They decided to till an area and dig up the weeds while they're at it. Roxanne asks if she should do it, but Michio tells her no, and asks if she could sharpen those wood scraps over there. He wants to build a fence. He tills while she sharpens. They build the fence and plant the seeds. Once he's done, Michio comments on how he feels so exhausted and satisfied in a good way. Roxanne walks over to him with some clothes and says that they should be able to make a nice vegetable garden, and that she'll wash their dirty clothes. While Michio is changing, he thinks to himself that it'd be great if they could take a bath now. Then Roxanne tells him that it would be nice if they had a tub for washing clothes in the future. Michio adds on, and a change of clothes for her as well. Michio goes to the Cooper. He tells the worker that he's looking for a laundry tub. He grabs a tub and says, in that case, how about this one? Michio says looks good and notices a bigger tub and asks if that's the biggest wash tub he sells. He tells him no. Sometimes he makes bigger ones on special order. He's got the experience to make a functional tub, so Michio tells him he'd like something broader than his arm span. What he wants is a bathtub. Since they're renting a house, he'd like to do something about their bathroom next. And besides, now when he bathes, Roxanne will be joining him. Imagine sitting in a bath with Roxanne and having her wash his body. He needs a bathtub. Michio asks around how much will it cost. The guy tells him around $2,000. They're back in the labyrinth. Michio kills a kobold, and it drops flour. Roxanne tells him apparently It tastes better than the flour they sell in town. They should start to head to the 4th floor, but Roxanne's stomach grumbles. So they decide to call it for the day and have dinner. Michio is making white cream stew. She tries it and says it's so thick and tasty. Michio is like, "Don't say that with white stuff in your mouth, please." She tells him that because of him, she feels ready to put some extra effort into exploring tomorrow. Michio says that his bathtub should be done soon, so maybe he'll put in some extra effort as well. The level 4 boss is a tripe. It charges Roxanne, who dodges it, and then Michio finishes it off. We then get a montage of what they do for the next couple days. They go to the Veil restaurant, they buy some bread to dip in their stew, and Michio crushes up some flour or something. They head back to the Labyrinth, and the 5th floor boss is some giant lamb. Michio thinks to himself that he thought he wasn't afraid of monsters anymore because he'd gotten accustomed to this world. But he was wrong. It's because of Roxanne. She fights without a single complaint. Roxanne tells Michio that the monster's movements aren't all that impressive. As Michio is charging forward, he wonders if they'll ever encounter a monster whose movements impress Roxanne. As he's charging, the monster casts a spell, and the screen goes black. We then see Michio hunched over, wondering how he got attacked. He notices that Roxanne is hurt as well. Michio rushes in and uses treat wounds on Roxanne, attacks the monster, then continues to use treat wounds and rinse and repeat. Michio finishes it off and asks Roxanne if she's alright. She tells him that she's fine since he healed her several times. Michio wonders what that monster did. Roxanne tells him that he was immobile for a while, like he was sleeping, meaning that the beep sheep's skill either puts people to sleep or knocks them out when it sounds that alarm. He says that's an annoying skill, and they'll suffer at least one attack when it uses it. This time, he allowed it to go off because he let his guard down. He apologizes to Roxanne and tells her to let him know if she's still damaged at all. They should prioritize recovering their stamina above all else. After all, he doesn't want to lose her. He says that they should call it for today. It should be arriving soon. They're sitting on the porch and Roxanne asks what will be arriving soon. The tub arrives. Michio comments on how the planks look thick and sturdy. The guy tells him that they need to be at least this thick or it'll break right away. Roxanne asks what this tub is for. Michio tells her that it's a bathtub. It's for bathing. He tells Roxanne to get jugs. He fills them with water and uses fire to heat them up. He pours the water in the tub, but it's taking a while. Michio says that his head hurts, but for now, he'll just have to keep doing this over and over. He must be a huge pervert if he's willing to do all this to take a bath with Roxanne, but even perverts have pride. The bath is finally full. Roxanne brings him a towel, but Michio tells her that he's not the only one getting in. Roxanne asks if he's sure. He says yeah, so she says that she'll be delighted to join him. Michio asks for her to come here because he needs her help with something. He shows her the soap he made, but he's not sure if he made it right. We find out that he acquired the alchemist job. If the soap he makes works, then he'll be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm not really going to go much into detail about what happens next, because I can't really show any of it, but basically, he washes her, she washes him, and after that, they're chilling in the bathtub relaxing. Michio says that he had no idea bathing with Roxanne could be so incredible. Michio asks how her injuries are. She tells him that thanks to him, they've healed completely. As they're sleeping, Michio thinks to himself that while he has access to healing spells, he can't keep putting all the burden on Roxanne. The solution to the problem is to add more frontline fighters to his party. Then, the episode ends. Some personal thoughts. It looks like next episode we'll be getting introduced to another girl to join his harem. I'm going to guess it's the purple-haired one, and that she's going to be a blacksmith. I don't have much to say about this week. I don't find it boring, but it feels like not much is happening. It kind of feels like Michio is doing all the side quests in a video game. Then once he's done with all the side quests, he does a main quest, and that unlocks more side quests. After Roxanne took off her towel when they were bathing, it was panning down, and I thought it was going to show, the lower half, but it cut away right before. I also thought they were going to show Michio's, during the boob job, but they didn't. I'm not advocating they do, just things I noticed. But yeah, it was a decent episode. That's about it. So yeah.